We are live! Hello, everybody! Happy Tuesday, and welcome back for another episode. If not now, when? Today, I am, oh my god, so excited to introduce you my special guest. We have Yoon today with us, and Yoon is someone who's really fascinating. He was born and raised in Korea, and he have a huge heart. Today, he's a social entrepreneur. He helps observe an issue within his generation where he see people have a challenge to really have a meaningful and deep relationship with one another. That's how he decided to set out to create the Pop Social, a relationship platform to help students to make meaningful friends at university. And in addition to being an entrepreneur, creating the Pop Social, he also participates in Korean TV talk show, which is amazing. I want to learn so much more. And he also created a non-profit culinary organization. Today, Yoon is really passionate to create a world where we can all come together, connect one with another with authentic relationship. With that, my friend, I am so excited. Thank you so much, Yoon, for joining us, and welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for inviting me, Wen. I'm excited to share all the stories. Hopefully, it will be something helpful for the others that are listening to the podcast.
Yes. So let's dive in. Young, you are, really incredible. So tell us, how does all the journey get started?
I think I can get started with so I'm guessing I'm invited here as a entrepreneur at Pop, CEO. So let me start off with the Pop first. So Pop is a mobile application where students can make new friends based on interest and personality without any stereotype, right? And I've been doing this for 2 years now. Been have been going through a lot of ups and downs as an underrepresented founder, but also as a person who came from Korea, in my freshman year. So I think we Wen and I briefly talked before the podcast. She also wanted to share. So is it okay if I dive into a little bit of my childhood story?
Yes, of course. Yes, please tell us more.
Yeah. So I was actually born and raised in Korea, not North Korea, but South Korea. Great. It's a little bit safer, right? So I was a very naughty kid. I didn't study. I didn't like studying, especially English was math. I love math, but not English. So so when my parents told me that, hey Yoon, we got a green card. I don't know how, but we got a green card in my freshman year in high school, and they're like, do you want to go to this place called Texas? And I was like, I don't really know Texas. All I know is like the chainsaw or like, the desert cowboy. Like, what is Texas? So I thought about it, and then I thought, the life in Korea, being middle school students over there, was kind of, not interesting anymore. I wanted to adventure. The problem was I couldn't even differentiate B and D. That's how bad I was in English, right? So I decided to go to US with the green card. So I started high school here. As soon as I got to school, the problem was that they're learning like Oedipus complex, or Oedipus, yeah, Oedipus complex, right? Like Greek, Roman, like stories, and I'm trying to learn. I don't even know B and D, and then trying to learn it. It was hard. It was definitely challenging. I think I learned English through SpongeBob. I learned English through, yeah, absolutely. SpongeBob is my English professor. I will put it that way. So yeah, it's it was a fun journey from that. I think one thing that I really enjoyed about like the American environment, like the education environment, is that it made me enjoy learning, right? It didn't feel like a homework anymore. When I was, playing, cello, and I was, playing tennis for the first time, it didn't feel like homework, like how I was in Korea. And everything is for exam, everything is for homework, right? So I really just enjoy the aspect of learning, and I think that's when I start having that growth mindset. And what contributed the more it was the professors or like the teachers that compliment me a lot, right? Even if I do bad, fail a lot, they'll be like, "Oh, nice try, good job." It's almost like a 180-degree opposite in Korea, right? Where you're like, do better, you're not good enough, right? Versus here it's like, you're doing well, good job, cheering you up, rooting for you, right? So I think it was a very different environment that I personally fit very well. So I really enjoyed just being in US. So it's not, I wasn't really thinking much about startup or entrepreneurship, right? Even when I was walking into college, more like I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I actually did the undeclared major and wanted to just explore. So I joined 8 different student organization and first freshman year in college. And after my freshman year, I realized that, I still couldn't decide on what major to choose. So I thought, what is something. So this is more like after first semester, right? After first semester, like, I still couldn't choose what major I want to do. And if I want to work with people in like, architecture, business, or technology, science, like maybe if I do business, it's very versatile. So I'll be able to just work with anyone. So that's why, I wanted to, I would just do business major. And and then I realized that it required like 3.8 GPA out of 4.0 to transfer into business school in UT. So, ooh, I'm screwed,
Wow.
Yeah, but did successfully transfer into sophomore year into business major. So I think one thing that you briefly mentioned at the beginning was that I was a non-profit culinary organization. The beginning wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna create this whole like non-profit and all of that. It wasn't like that wasn't necessarily like my vision at the beginning. It was more like, hey, I love cooking. And at that time, I was actually thinking about doing like food truck and things like that too. I wanted to, I wanted to cook. I wanted to learn how to cook better, and I wanted to meet people that are also interested in cooking. So I gathered some people that created organization based on my learning in freshman year with the different student organization. And our first meeting, we had 70 people that came to the meeting, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So since then, we just, we did like cooking competition. We, served for the community. We invited chef from locals to, to teach us how to cook. And then we like attached different like the mission and meanings into it. Like, hey, we love food. Why don't we share this food with others, right? And then let's help others by cooking food. And then that became a mission of of that organization. And now it still lives by it today. The Awesome Meal Movement is still, and now it's like a sixth year that's been an organization. I'm not part of it now, but I know all the students that are in it are very passionate and for cooking and helping others. So yeah, so I think I really enjoyed through that. I think I've really figured out that I really enjoy building an organization, building a product, building a service, right? That is also meaningful for the community.
One thing I wanted to mention is, Young, you are it's almost like a natural born leader, right? You kind of start with a small problem, and oh, I love to cook. I love to meet people who also love to cook, right? We all can have that statement, but you, from that issue, that desire, you decided to create an organization that not only benefit yourself, but really create an entire community. And I think that's incredible. Like not many people can say that, can do that. Therefore, I think you have something innate of you that truly calling the true leadership, and that enable you to come to pop social in a similar mentality where you see the problem, you see the issue, you think it can be better, you decide, you know what, I'm gonna solve this problem. I love that.
Yeah, honestly, like I mean, I think part of it is that I was I was not afraid of failing. You know, a lot of times, like when you're making student organization for the first time, like what do you know? Like I don't know anything, but I'm just starting, just doing the research, talking to people that already built the organization before, and ask them a question, right? And learn from the pre-existent organization that are successful, and take out the important aspects of it, and then apply into your organization. So I think I enjoy that aspect of like learning as you go, and you know it's an ordeal. It's not a failure. That's how I think. You know, it's just a hardship. It's not a failure if I face the difficult challenges, and yeah. So I think you put a lot of good words on me, but I think I just do what I like to do. So yeah.
I love what you just said, Yoon. You said you are not afraid of failures. You have no problem just learn as you go. And I think that is be so true for entrepreneur, whether it's first time or serial or all those incredible leaders want to create something that never exists before. I'm curious, how do you always felt that way? What gave you the ability to not afraid of failure and seeing that as just a stepping stone to the next step?
Yeah, I think it ties back to what I talked about in my childhood, like the growth mindset, right? So when I first came, a lot of international students that comes to US in high school don't necessarily adapt to this environment very well, because it's embarrassing to admit that you suck at English, right? I know when you did amazing job, right? You amazing job in adapting and learning, but honestly though, like a lot of people feel intimidated, admitting that they're not good at this, so they tend to not speak up or don't speak in the public space, and that then your English proficiency will suffer, right? And I think I had the mentality where I just came to US. It's totally fine if I suck at English. I mean, that's natural, right? I'm newly born. I'm 1 year baby. It's not be good at it, right? So and I think a lot of times I started speaking language with just a body language, like where restroom, and then they'll be like, oh, you mean where's the restroom? I'm like, yeah, where is the restroom? And then and then I will learn, just because I said where restroom is, then they'll be like, okay, I can figure out, and then I can give you the right answer. So to me, everyone that I interacted were my mentor, teacher, along the way. They were all my English teachers, right? I was not afraid of just saying it. Be open about it. I like to be the dumbest people in the room, and I think I learned the most by being the dumbest in the room. So I think that mentality really helps when you're starting something new. Yeah.
Wow, Yon is really, really amazing what you just said. And it remind me of Confucius again have the saying in Chinese. It said, when any three person walk together, you can always learn something from one person, one another. And I love you said about, everyone when you meet, interact, he or she can be your mentor for the day, for the word, for the faces you learn. And I think truly is that growth mindset, the humble, that you're not afraid to start over and not be perfect and maybe fail, maybe taking steps. And that mentality really sets you apart as an incredible entrepreneur. So let's shift our topic to entrepreneur, right? So at this point, you come to US, you finally figured out how to really communicate and really understand the culture, and you fit in really well. You even establish this beautiful culinary organization on campus, you're making friends. So now, at what point you felt you want to be entrepreneur, and what happened from there?
Before we actually jump into being an entrepreneur, like starting a C corp or corp, like a company.
Yeah.
Actually, after my sophomore year, I went to army. So,
How was that?
like I mentioned at the beginning, I had a green card. So this was when I had a choice, right? Like, so I came to United States really early. So if I, acquire U.S. citizenship, then the Korean citizenship will be just abolished, will be gone, and then you wouldn't have to go to the army anymore, which is 2 years, right? Um, and I thought about it. I thought about just avoiding that duty, and it hurt me personally. It's just like I want to be the proud dad. I want to be the proud husband. And when they say like, "Oh, Dad, what I heard, Koreans are doing military service. Did you do it?" I'm just like, "Oh, I didn't." I just wanted to say like, I did it. That was a duty, and I did it, right? Um, and also, as a Korean born, I fully understand and recognize the duty, right? And everyone in Korea is serving it. So it's not special about it. I'm not saying I'm special. It's not special about it. It's just you just do it. So that was a decision that I made. I'm just gonna go to Korea, even if I become a U.S. citizen down the route. Right now, I'm a Korean citizen, and I'm just gonna do it, right? So after my sophomore year, pretty much like it was like the peak of my college life. I had really good friends there. Going to army would meant that 2 years in army, so all my friends will be graduated by the time I come back. So that was very sad, but I made that decision, right?
Wow. And I want to just first of all commend you the amount of integrity that you have, Young. As you saying that, I just felt I'm really inspired because that is really not a light decision in any sort of student. Imagine you just living your dream, you finally fit in, you make friends, you start the organization, you're proud, and you really have so much fun. You have this routine on campus, and yet you have to make a decision to serve your country that make you proud, and it's who you are, and it's really, really admirable the decision you made. That's not easy. Wow.
Again, thank you. But also, I mean, there's millions of people in Korea, young men and young men that are in the army, probably being in army. So I don't wanna say that I'm different than them, right? So for sure, but yeah, I mean, so that was honestly, I would say that was really rough to me, because now I have to transition back from American culture to Korean culture, and and that's rough because army is also very a different animal. Like it's very authoritative. There's no like freedom of thinking. There's no like creativeness. You have to follow the rule. You have to be disciplined. You have to, it's a lot of parts. If I learn anything, it'll be like, oh, I don't want to be in army. Oh, this is really tough. This is
Oh my
really
goodness.
tough. But yeah, I mean, I would also describe that my mental health was the lowest while I was in army, right? It's even though I made the a conscious decision of going to army, knowing that all my friends are progressing in their life, right? Oh, I got an internship in Google, Tesla, or Facebook, and then they're all progressing. Because I mean, starting sophomore junior year, that's a lot of fresh a lot of business students will get those internships, and I'm over here kind of like pulling out the weeds, and cleaning and also shredding paper. And when the paper is being shredded, I can see that the powder is coming out of that shredding machine. It felt like my life is getting shredded until dusted into life, into the universe. That's kind of how I felt. It was very depressing, and I was very anxious. Especially at the beginning of the army, especially at the beginning of the army. But I realized that thinking of it in that way doesn't really help in terms of my mental health and in terms of the growth as a person, right? So I changed it, reverted back to like how I was in college, and started thinking about the ways that I can use this experience into something good, So at least in army, what happens is that you are limited to the electric devices, right? And your life is very much of a set schedule. You wake up at 6 a.m., you exercise, or even earlier, like 5:30, and then you exercise, you eat breakfast, and then you do your routine, and then you come back to your barrack. So I took time to to really just feel determined. So I'm gonna be on this. I'm on this mission, and I'm gonna try to enjoy as much as I can. And after the official work time, I read books, right? I at least read 5 to 6 books a week, right? So that's a lot of books, from whether it was a bibliography to it was Korean books, English books. It didn't matter. Just anything that I can cash and read, and I just read it.
Mhm.
And you know as I'm reading, and there was a book about the original, being original, and
Mhm.
how to become original, right? And while I was reading, they talked about not only the organization should have a mission and vision of the company, but the individual should have a mission and vision. In life, what's the purpose of your life? What kind of human being are you going to be? What kind of impact? What kind of society are you designing? Like, what kind of individual are you trying to be? So the occupation doesn't matter. Occupation, it's what matters is the objective. So what kind of doctor are you trying to be? What kind of things are you going to do through that occupation, through that company, right? So that's more important. So after that realization, I start, on the phase of the discovery phase, right? Like, so what is that meaning? What am I passionate about? What I really want to do? And I found this word, yoyu. It's a Korean word, Yeoyu, yoyu, right? When I read that word, it just struck my head. I was like, whoa, like yoyu means like a spare, like a mental relaxation, spare, having surplus. Having surplus is literally what it means. So this word can connect to mental, like mind yoyu, right? Mental yoyu, financial yoyu, right? Time yoyu, and physical yoyu. So all this yoyu would mean like, oh, you have a financial freedom, you have a financial surplus, you have mental surplus, and all of this. And I thought, for all this time, I chased after that, very imaginary value, um, you know, happiness. I want to be happy. So, but how? So, and I realized, as I think more about it, like, in order to be happy or increase the frequency of being happy, we have to create that strong foundation where, or environment, where that happiness will occur more often, right? So financial freedom, yes, that's going to give you a lot of happiness, yeah, for sure. But the research shows, once you make more than $100,000 a year, at least in U.S. standard, not in LA, but like other states, that will be comfortable enough for you to look for things that you really enjoy in life, right? So financial financially, you're not necessarily more happier after, once you make like 80,000 or 100,000. So what is it that's really important? I realize it's the mindset, it's the mental health, it's the mental spare, like the mental health spare, right? That yoyu, mental yoyu, right? Because once you have that, once you acquire that, it's, if you make more money, you will be able to adapt to it. With more money, it doesn't matter, because you have that, right? So the yoyu, that struck me, and that became my mission, the purpose. Okay, so I want to have this. I want to have a mental yoyu for myself and for the others. I want to give this to others,
Can you
right?
explain that a little bit more? The mental yo-yo, like what does that mean for you in terms of your purpose?
Right. So mental yoyu means that, having enough of a mental space, right? Strong, sort of a strong foundation of a mental health space where, a different challenge will come in your life, but it's so big and durable enough to handle all of that, hardships. This could mean that it's about the mental mindset that creates those boundaries that you create, or it could mean that your regular daily routine that you do, that you clean up what's in the space, so that you have that spatial feeling, right? That you feeling. So people doing meditation, I think the meditation is about actually emptying it out from that space. I think we all have a very limited mental power or realness day by every day, right? And it's one or the other. You have to either empty it out to feel spacey, or you have to make it larger, make it stronger, right? I think there's primarily two ways. Or if you do both of it, then you will always have that yo in life, right? Regardless of your social status, regardless of your financial status, you will have that. And I think that's really, really important.
It remind me of one thing I want to share. I think is, I don't know if you also know this in Chinese, where there's Chinese traditional painting, black and white. And when we were young, we also always been taught that in the big painting, it's not about how much you feel in the canvas. It's about the space you leave behind. And we have a Chinese word called liu bai. Literally just means have space, having extra, having that container, so that the painting then will be beautiful because of space you remain. And what you just described, it just really remind me of the root and culture that how I was raised. It's so beautiful. So continue. So now you know that is your purpose to really tracing and really having more mental you. So tell me, how do you go about that?
Yeah, and then that was kind of like an end of journey in army, right? I've acquired my mission and vision of my life. I have, determination. I have, more healthier lifestyle. So, in long run, that's a really good benefit, right? That's actually better than just having fun in school, drinking. I mean, I'm sure not every college students are doing that, but that was absolutely meaningful time. So after I came back, and I realized all my friends are absolutely graduated now. So it's like, oh, I'm so sad. Feel that loneliness. Feel that isolation. But also because how I was more trained in army, and I could be okay with it. I could control my mind a lot better, right? And but when I actually got to school and I started actually socializing and meeting new people, and I realized that a lot of students are going through like a tremendous amount of stress that one human may not be able to handle, or students may not be able to handle, right? The stress that's coming from, family situation, financial, instability, right? Like if your family is coming off of like a little bit, financially unstable, and a lot of your friends, peers are buying all the things that they want and that you can't, it gives you like a lot of insecurity, right? And also you start comparing yourself with the others. A lot of people that are in like UT, like are in like business or whatever major it is, like peers are here that are here are like they study a lot in high school, so they're very competitive and they're also really smart. So you have to compete and survive, and you start comparing yourself with the others and feel discouraged. You know, if they went to this Goldman Sachs internship, they went to this and that and in this. You start just comparing yourself, and it's very toxic, but it's real. It's a reality. But also our generation is really unique. Gen Z or millennials are really unique in a way that we are so well educated or exposed to the new technology, like such as social media. And what happens with the social media is a perceived like the perceived loneliness increase, meaning it's a lot easier to compare yourself with the others. You might be on the bed like doing nothing, and then when you're looking on the Instagram, someone else will be having the highlights of their day, right? How can you beat someone else's highlights of their day with the lowest of your day, right? So it's a constant loop of, you know, hurting yourself mentally, right? And that's just I mean, you will over time learn how to, you know, manage that feeling, but not everyone will be able to do it, right? So you know, I realized there's a lot of, you know, stress factors, and you know, and I thought there has to be something that has to change, whether it's a cultural change, or, you know, or technological change, or societal change. Something has to happen to address this really big issue. A lot of friends were really depressed, and counseling, like I looked up some number, and then a lot of people were looking at, like, you know, like all the mental health counselors are booked in university, and you have to wait a weeks and weeks to get, you know, get scheduled, you know. But you don't talk about this problem with all your friends. Why? Because you don't want to look lonely, you don't want to look vulnerable, right? So they hide it, but secretly they all feel it. So this, and when I do more deeper research, I realized the one of the core issue was that, you know, mental health, and also the loneliness and isolation. But I'm gonna stop it here. I think you might have a question. So
No, no, it's beautiful. I love that, you come back and just really observe what's happening. Not only what happened to yourself, but you really see what happened around you. And not only just seeing that, but you say, you know what? I'm gonna roll my sleeve, I'm gonna do research. And really found the fundamental issue underneath the surface. And really can dive into that. I think really that is the number one thing that will make you, I believe, a great entrepreneur is you did not just fall in love with your product, you truly fall in love with your customer's pain point and really from there to create something that fit in with that challenges. So I love what you just shared.
yeah, so I mean, it was important because when I was, you know, when I was observing, you know, students that are going through the problems, and also the way it's being resolved, in a current day, modern day in school, you know, like they have, you know, preventative measures, of course, like the sense of belonging is what will help loneliness and isolation. So there's a, you know, student organization. Um, but that's also is a favorable for people that are more extroverts, like that knows how to be like really fun and like social setting, just like, ooh, talk to me, I can talk to you everything, right? So it's not for everyone, for sure. And then when let's say someone's going through like like mental health problem, and I looked into like the solutions. Like, first of all, the counseling office is already all booked. So creating a platform that can connect students that are having problem with the counselor already done makes sense. The, you know, the supply is not meeting the demand right now. Demand is a lot higher. So in order to resolve this problem, we have to actually get through the root cause of everything, right? There's of course like suicidal prevention, you know, stuff, and there's like, you know, counseling, and there's, you know, like a peer advising, like things like that. But those are like kind of like a safety net that like, you know, like just like it's okay. Let me give you an analogy, right? This analogy that my friend told me before really resonates. So let's say three guys are walking up the mountain, and there was a river next to it, and there's a waterfall at the bottom. So there's a one baby that's coming down, you know, from on that river, and then there's a waterfall. So one of the guy will jump in to save that one baby. As this one person is being saved, there's three other babies are coming down. So then this guy will create a net. Second guy will create a net to catch those babies, right? And the first guy will be like, "Who the fuck is, you know, throwing the baby into the river?" And then we'll go to the top of the mountain, and, you know, we'll look out for that guy, you know, and then we'll get rid of that guy, you know. So this shows sort of like a three different phase of the problem solving, right? And all of that is very, very important, right? We need to save humans. We need to save and have this in place in our society. But what I wanted to do was like really go to the top of the mountain and then see who's throwing that baby, right? So before even we get into like the depression problem or anxiety problem, what is driving all of this problem in the first place? It's that freshmen, especially freshmen, transfer students are new to campus, away from their family and family and old friends. They have to start everything from scratch. And only way right now is that you make basically just from pure luck, almost like your roommate is kind of cool, and then you make friends through your roommates, or you go to student organization and you happen to be in the friend group, and then it becomes your friend group, right? It's expecting that organic interaction, which is wonderful. It's great, but I also know from my experience from my friends that it's not for everyone, right? Some students that focused on the academic and GPA in the first year, first semester, and when they try to look for friends in second semester, like all of them already seem to have a friends group, and feels like you don't want to be like the intruder in that friends group, or like distracting people. So you just choose to stay out of it, and you'll be staying at home just looking through Instagram, which will worsen your loneliness and isolation, which will make you want to go back to your home or go to smaller university. So all of this is kind of like a chain effect. So in order to cut this, then like we have to have a place, safe place, where people can make that, create that kind of a friendship. And Facebook and Instagram seem like really great platform, but one thing that we have to know is that it's a lagging indicator over our social network. Meaning, you only add them once you know them, right? It's not a place where you can make new friends. So on the online platform, what's existing on the online platform for university students to make friends on their university, right? Almost like none. Like there is no like online platform that will help you do that, right? It's not, like there are friend discovery apps. There are things that you can do like real time face and like like video chat, but those are not for college students to college students. It's for just anyone, right? So that's why the safe is really important. Like feeling safe to be on that platform to talk to people was a really important concept. So that's how how the idea formulated. Of course, there was a lot of different ideas that initially started that I went through and trashed, like AI counselor. That was one of the idea for the scalability of the problem. Um, but yeah, that was how I determined that there has to be some sort of this safe space, digital space, where people can create not quantity but quality relationships.
And I want to ask, at this point, you want to dive very deep into this issue that you yourself experience and you observe your peers also have that. I'm curious, at this point, are you already deciding you're gonna be an entrepreneur solving this issue, or you're just this time just having fun and to see how it goes? Because at this point, you are very, very deep into we about really what is actually the issue, what is the current solution, how can we better solving that, like what is your mind process goes?
Right. So this is a moment that you um start thinking like. So I have to say that when I was on this journey, I was a part of this fellowship program called Social Entrepreneurship Learning Lab, right? So when I had this problem of loneliness and isolation, then I joined Social Entrepreneurship Learning Lab that I was a part of. So I already had in mind that I wanted to be a social entrepreneur to solve this problem, And this is all the things that I'm saying is pretty much through my user interview, or like the student interview, and through the research, secondary research like internet and things like that, right? So yeah, I already had mindset of becoming social entrepreneur.
I love that. Being a student, and at the time, you all just trying to figure out things, and with your peer getting the internship at Goldman Sachs and Google and all those fancy names, so you're like, damn, I want to solve this issue. I want to be entrepreneur and really addressing this. I think that takes a lot of courage, a lot of guts, a lot of integrity. Because like you said, on the surface, is we all know the issue, but deep down into it, it's very uncomfortable, really, right? Exposing your own vulnerability and truly, it's not a It's not that I'm just cook a meal, I'm gonna sell you a meal. It sounds easier to like discuss and talk about it, but you're the one decided to really be the first and really sure that I'm give others the permission to also being that vulnerable and share whatever issue that he or she go through, and then create an incredible platform to help supporting everybody to be through that challenging time. I think it's really admirable.
Oh, thank you. But just to continue from that, figuring out the problem and potential solution. One thing that I did was actually creating a concierge MVP, meaning without actually having like physical like MVP, I ran a test. So this was my junior year, second semester. So I wanted to see if students are willing to meet, even willing to meet a stranger, another stranger on campus. And so I said oh, this is a lunch buddy project, and anyone wants to meet new friends, sign up, and I'll pair you up every week, right? One-on-one matching service. And then, I think that first week got, 60 people signed up, and I started just pairing people up, based on their interest that they have expressed. I'll pair the best I can and then send it out, the matches of that week. And, I've done it, I think for 2 months, 2 months and 3 months, and satisfaction rate was like 8.7. And some people said like the dry like conversation started off really dry, and that was a one part of it. But another part of it will be like this him and I had different gender, different race. I would not have met this person if it wasn't this through this service. But we both could connect that we are the CS honor, like computer science honor dropouts. So they instantly got connected on that aspect and then became friends, and still being friends. So I realized people are actually more open to meet new friends, although nobody really talked in class. I think they just need that nudge, right? They just need that spark to get things started, right? So okay, that's really what we need. That's really what we need. And based on the observation, I started creating very much of an early prototype of Pop, and that's when we applied to Sputnik ATX, which was accelerator program. I heard they had like 400, 500 applicants. They only selected like 6, 7 company that year. I might be a little bit wrong, but that's how competitive it was. And me and my co-founder was like, wait, why did we get in? It's like, oh, we got in, and then that was Joe. That was Joe, right? He really resonated with the mission, and his wife was also like mental health counselor, and he knew that it was necessary. So we launched this product with people with the help of industry expert slash an investor that truly believes in the mission, right?
Wow, talk about all the stars aligned, and then magically you are one out of 100, and you are in. And I want to really now kind of pivot our conversation and talk about entrepreneurship, right? At this point, you're so passionate about the problem. You really, you kind of really get your hand dirty, get spreadsheet ready. Like, for 2 months, you are not getting paid squat. You just like, I want to see whether this is work or not. And through the process, you learn, and you have insight. Yes, I'm going to address this issue. Now you create a product, you found a business. Now, from the entrepreneur standpoint, right, at this point, you are actually pivoting from as a student observing the problem to now I'm going to actually be an entrepreneur, being the leader, being the CEO. So how was that journey? How do you like that journey? Something that surprised you as you really own that process, as you, embarking that process with your co-founder and the rest of the team?
Right. So I always say this. I have a luxury, as a human being, right? I just had a really great people around me from the beginning until now, right? So I mean, when I was making that, the Excel sheet and doing it, the reason why we transitioned into it is that like at one point it was really hard for myself to just keep on matching people. like some people are like changing schedules, and I have to adapt to them. At one point, I was doing this more than like school, right? For sure. And I was like, oh my god, like even if it's simple, like I want to make some app or app website that can automate a little bit of these processes, you know. Um, so I reached out to some of the friends that are around me that I know that have a really are really good at what they're doing, and plus have a heart for the mission, right? So yeah, that's how like I mean I pretty much just recruited all my friends that are talented. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. So with that experience, though, it sounds like you not only are, just so passionate about your mission, but really you surround yourself with great people who are really also, feel aligned and resonate with who you are and your purpose and what, the business is trying to do. And I'm curious now, as a first-time entrepreneur yourself for the past, 2 years, what advice, what insight you will share with other entrepreneurs who may be also first time, who are maybe right now, thinking about a problem he or she want to solve and want to become that person just like you are, roll up sleeves, create a solution. What would you say to her or him regarding starting the journey?
Oh, okay. So I think one thing that I would say is that think really deeply about the problem, and then I mean, and when I say deep, like really deeply, Elon Musk will say, like you have to think about like the first principle, like when you're creating a solution, like fundamentally ask the question, why are things are like the way it is, right? And then start it from the bottom. Like you have to really start it from the bottom in terms of the problem, and also in terms of the solution, you have to also start it from the bottom, right? You can't assume too many things, or even if you assume, that's okay. You can write like however many assumption that you have. You have to validate it. You have to validate it as quickly as possible, right? Right. So as I was validating whether people would be willing to meet friends. I mean like the strangers on campus or not. Like you have to just validate different things as quickly as possible. And I would meet that I also had to do more of it, but I actually did less, which made me suffer later down the route. But I would say that would be the first thing to do: root cause analysis, and thinking of having that first principle mindset when you're thinking of a solution.
I love that, Yoon, because today when I see a lot of entrepreneurs and they are so passionate what they do, but oftentimes I think the biggest mistake that when I see people do is they just fall in love with the product, with their own vision rather than falling in love with the customers. And I love you talk about the problem, the customer really get into the bottom, really from the top, understand the root issue of that before you solving it. I think that's so fundamental, so beautiful, so true. My last question for you of the day is, you are you're born and raised in Korea, you come to the US, you have this incredible, incredible journey. I'm curious, what is American dream mean for you?
Interesting because when I came to US, I didn't really know about US. But now that I'm thinking about American Dream, I think it's been a place where I the where I actually this I think this is a place where I made the dream reality, and it's everything is there. So the people is here, resources here. You, as long as you have a courage, as long as you have a determination, perseverance, grit, anything that you dream of will happen.
Wow. So, so beautiful, Young. I could not say it better than what you just said. It's so, so beautiful. And I really want to thank you and acknowledge you for all the incredible things you've done. I really felt you are truly a tremendous, not just entrepreneur, but great leader. The way how you approaching the issue, the people, the problem, the challenges, and tremendous great perseverance and really the determination, that faith, and it's just so incredibly inspiring. So I want to really commend you and acknowledge you and thank you so much today for bringing so many important and beautiful insights to share with all of us. And I really enjoy you. And I want to thank you everybody for tuning right now with us. And we so appreciate you. And we hope you enjoyed today's conversation. And my friend, I will see you next week.
Thank you.